Hey, good evening, everyone. This is T Rob with the Biz Pulse coming back at you here tonight. Pretty excited about our guest today, James Foo Torres, who is a public relations guru. So I'm really excited about just learning more from him and him sharing his story with everyone. Um, I won't get into all of his bio. I'm going to let him kind of tell you his story and who he is. So let's bring him in here.
Hello, hi T Rob. Thanks for having
Hey.
me.
Yeah, man. So you go by Foo, right? Is it okay to call you Foo? Okay.
Oh, definitely. I'd
Well,
rather you call me Phil. That's my preferred way, my preferred
well,
name.
let me start with that. Where did that come from?
It's my last name, or first part of my last name, because I'm from Puerto Rico.
Okay.
We have two last names, so that's my dad's last name, and then I use my mom's last name too, which is Torres. So
Okay. Very
that's how
cool.
it is.
Very cool. So you're in the PR world, and I know that you do some great things in that space, and I don't know a lot about that. So I would love just to kind of hear your story. I know you were uh, a military guy as well. So if you could just kind of give us all that story of kind of how it all started, I'd love to hear it.
So it all started. Let's take it back to like, well, I'm in college. I have good grades, but I just really wanna get my a full time job. I want to get out of my house, right? I want to be independent. So I uh, I took the ASVAB and stuff, and got recruited with the Air Force directly from the island.
Mhm.
That's how I got to the States. That's how I became completely bilingual. And during that journey, traveled the world. Where I went to Syria, Kuwait, Qatar, Turkey, and then after two deployments, when my last one was in 2020, and I was in Qatar, right next to Iran, with that Cold War time stuff that we were having, and I was like, look, I want to do something more fulfilling. This is not my dream, and if I'm risking my life here, like I'd rather risk it pursuing my dream. So that's when I started looking for options and kind of stumbled upon the agency model, and I invested on a coaching program to learn about lead generation, SEO, and PR. And
Right.
PR was the thing that I really liked the most. It's also the thing that was getting me the most responses from people. So there was a clear interest in there was a need, like people wanted it. I want to be in Forbes, I want to be in TV. I don't know anything about that in the
Right.
business side of things. And I was like, perfect, there's a need here. So that's when I committed completely to PR. And from there, it was all about connections and relationships with people, and how, with other agency owners or PR agency owners, with publicists, with freelancers, journalists, editors, producers, you name it, right? Everything related to the media, I'm looking for them on LinkedIn, Facebook, like literally wherever I can find them. And just I go with the premise of just build a relationship. And
Yeah.
then after we build that relationship, then whatever is meant to come out of it, then great. If not, then we had a conversation and that's it.
Yeah. Yeah. I was looking on your website and I saw some testimonials for people that you've worked with, and they all said how amazing of a person you are. So uh, just wanted to give you a big thumbs up for that, man. And thank you for your service. I really appreciate that. And I know that had to be hard for sure. So, so right now, I mean, one other thing I wanted to touch on too. I mean, you're a podcast host as well, and I mean, your podcast is like 1.5% of some of the biggest there is, right?
Yeah. So this is a collaboration with the Strategic Advisor Board, and that's the power of collaboration. Really, that's how we were able. We got to the top 1.5% in like 6 months of launching the
Wow.
podcast, and it's because we got together. And so the Strategic Advisor Board is the official name in the podcast, but then we have different segments. So when I'm the host, it's Moments with Fu. When Jason Miller is the host, is the War Room Moments,
Okay.
right? Then the culture and communication moments, right? When it's Shelby. So depending on who's the host, is a different segment name, but they all go through the same podcast, meaning we're all pulling from different audiences together to the same podcast. So that's how we were able to grow so much, and we're on pace to hit a million downloads altogether in the first year. So.
Wow, that's amazing, man. Great job on that. I was kind of in a similar situation. I was over on the crypto, a big crypto network, and we kind of did the same thing, but just wasn't my passion, you know. I mean, I really like just kind of burn out on it, so I decided to move over and start doing this. But so tell me a little bit about your business and what you offer, because a lot of people go PR, they really don't know what that is. So if you can kind of explain what your company does.
Yeah, for sure. So my company's Imperium Authority, which is a public relations firm, and we specialize on helping business leaders amplify their impact so they can reach millions, right? And the idea of it is the premise of what I do. So our tagline is empowering ideas into movements, and the idea of this is I see it as the three pillars to start a movement, which are branding, and that means not like having the perfect logo, the perfect name, but having a name that is memorable, and then you can attach a story to it that is relatable, and then that stands for something bigger than just an individual, right? So something that it's not like just, oh, look at me, this godlike figure, but what I stand for, right? So that's the
Right.
first pillar. The second pillar is the content strategies, right? So in there is where you tell your why, you educate people, you work on that awareness and being digitally omnipresent, right? So that's that second pillar. And then the third pillar is the publicity strategies, right? And in the publicity strategies is where we focus on leveraging OPP, that's how I call it, other people's platforms, right? So, like for example, me being here is leveraging your platform, so then
Right.
I can tap into an audience that I, wouldn't probably reach of any other way, right? So that is like the big focus, and also, when you're leveraging other people's platforms, you're not just leveraging the audience, but you're also leveraging the authority, right? And that combination of being relatable, of and in the content, you also are telling your mission, right? Like that's what
Hmm.
you're doing right now. And then with the publicity is when you go, that thought leadership, that's when you start talking about the future, right? So what's that vision? So that being relatable, having a clear mission, and then a clear vision, that's the three pillars to start a movement. And when you have a movement now you can really reach so many people, because now you build a community, you build something that is bigger than an individual, and that's how you can really have real change and impact.
Cool. Yeah, I love when your website is empowering ideas into movements. So I like that. That really resonates with me. Um, so tell me, like, what kind of clients do you work with? Is there like an ideal client you work with, or is it all over the place?
No, we definitely have an ideal client, and our ideal client is someone that already they carve their way into the market, right? Like they found a market fit, they have proof of concept, and
Hmm.
now they're looking to impact millions, to really push their movement, right? Because they already have that proof that they're filling up a need, they're making sales. Now they just want to pour more fuel to that fire and
Right.
really take off. So that is the perfect client, and it's typically like Jason Miller is one of my top clients right now. He's the CEO of a consultancy firm, and it's not just any consultancy firm. There are 10 CEOs that got together they able to touch all the bases of a business. So you see, like they have something that is big, right? And now you just want to take it to the masses, and that's an ideal client. Another client is David A. Perez. He's a tax strategist, and a keyword like that strategist, right? That's what I call myself, a peer strategist, but not
Right.
a publicist. Like those keywords. So people that are already in that level of like, I'm not too much in my business. I'm more in the strategy side on where I really can have like bigger impact. I'm creating bigger things. So that those are people that they already have sales, they have something good. Now it's just like, let's see how far can we take this. And for example, like the movement part, like David A. Press, like you can go davidapress.com, like his team is always like David A. Press, David A. Press, but then his movement is build your own economy, and that's the name of his book. And that's, that's what he's using. So that's a great example to showing, like, there's the branding and stuff, but then there's that movement that is bigger than him.
Okay, that makes sense. So like, tell me like the day in the life of like you, like what, like, tell me what you would do for a client. I know maybe it's all different, but for people that are watching that maybe are interested in your service, or also we get a lot of people that are looking for new careers and may want to become, a PR person. How does all that work, and what's your life look like with that?
So our core offer right now, we focus on first just getting you established, right? So then we typically do start with, like, let's do 10 features up front, right? So then with that, we do a scope of work. So it might be slightly different, but everything is based on like leveraging other people's platforms and you optimizing your digital real estate,
Okay.
because it's not only going on a podcast, but where are the people gonna land, right? And that has to be optimized, especially your social media needs to match too, because people will check it, right? So
Right.
we're very big into let's get you some the low hanging fruits, like getting you on a press release. That's a big one that we get most of our clients it started with. That press release gets you on Bloomberg, Business Insider, Benzinga, MarketWatch, Yahoo, and like a couple other local affiliates of NBC and ABC. So
Hmm.
after you have those logos, now you can then we do graphic design that we to optimize your social media, your website, and not like going deeper into the web design, but just adding the as seen, Bloomberg, Yahoo, right? We do
Right.
those logos for authority because that's instant credibility and authority. And then you have the links that you can send it to people, and you can be very strategic about it, right? Like, oh, you're starting a campaign, I'm making an announcement of my new program, my new anything that you're doing. And now, like, you optimize that and then send it to people go click and then see your stuff, right? They see that continuity, they see
Sure.
uh, those logos that they already know, like, and trust. So they feel more in, it's more enticing to give you a chance to just even have a conversation.
Okay. Well, that makes sense. I used to be in the business of the music business, so we did a lot of PR stuff, and, so definitely understand it a little bit from that side. But I'm sure it's changed because that's been years ago.
Yeah,
So
the landscape has changed a lot since I started 2 years and like seven
yeah,
months ago. So things are changing fast. I mean, AI now is
yeah,
disrupting everything in, PR, content, articles. Like, why go to an article and to get information when you can ask ChatGPT for it, right? So
right,
now it's like we have to get way more creative, and now that's why strategy for me is everything. That's why I call myself a strategist, right? Because after you lay down a strategy, then it's just like just following with the steps, right? So that's why for like ChatGPT, for example, uh, it's how good of a question can I ask to get the right answer and the right content that I'm looking for, right? So that's all about strategy. Like, how am I gonna go about this? So
right.
that's why I love the strategy part of things.
Yeah, yeah, and it's funny you talk about AI because everyone that comes on, it's a huge thing right now, right? And I like that you just said it depends on how great the question is, and people don't get that. Like they think like AI is going to do everything. Well, it's only as good as what you put in, or like we still have to have a human brain to be able to utilize the AI system. So really cool that you said that. Um, so like you like the PR side, like tell me like what you like the most about it, and tell me like there's the struggles of like parts of it, because I like to hear, like, I really want to get in the pulse of the business, and you tell me the pros and the cons of it.
So the pros, it's the that instant credibility and authority, right? Being featured in Forbes, being like even a press release, like I said earlier, being on a podcast that is a top podcast already people know, like that's just instant, right? Like, it's
Yeah.
you go there, boom, you earn that, and that's so powerful, and to use that then, like SEO hacking, I like calling it, right? Like, just get articles that I already know that they rank very well because I do this all the time, right? So then it was
Right.
like, okay, lowest hanging fruit, we do a press release here, throw your magazine here, and like other articles, boom, we took control of that first page of Google's. When people Google your name, your business name, boom, we took control. Obviously, if you have a very common name, a lot challenge, a lot more challenging. But if you have at least a unique business name, we can do that. And then that's a great part of it, right? I like the image thing. It's like you can make yourself uh, look so much better. And unfortunately, like if you like being known, it's almost more important than being the best, because if you're the best at your job but you don't even get the chance to do it, when the person that is known gets the chance, then it doesn't matter if you are actually the best if nobody even knows about you, right? So that's why the PR, that's the great side of PR. Like you like can be nobody and then some like being somebody right away. And the struggles of it is to be able to consistently land, especially like big features, right? So clients come to me and they want it all, right? And I'm like, look, like it's not that we can try, it's not that I don't think that you're great, but we gotta find very like good, like strategic angles, right? Like very like
Yeah.
what is something that is polarizing, something that is trending, but you have a unique twist to it. And it's not like, oh, I'm good at my job and that's it. Like that doesn't really gonna get you many places.
Right.
You have to have something unique. So that is the big challenge of people expecting this unreasonable results. And even though like I educate them and everything, sometimes just people just are very focused on like, oh, I want guarantee, I want this, I want money. And it's like, look, like relationships is what really can get you the big bucks, right? And this is conversations that I have with prospects, with clients, like it's a common struggle. So that's one thing, is the media doesn't have any incentive to care.
Right.
The idea is you become an asset for the media, not the other way around, because unless you're paying for advertisement, so that's different, right? But
Hmm.
if it's PR, you want to earn media, you have to be flexible enough to really put yourself out there in a creative way and know that you are being an asset for them, rather than you trying to like make them an asset. Like the results are great, but you got to come with that mentality.
Right. Right. That makes sense. So I know in today's world with social media and everything is just like at our fingertips. I mean, you said you've been doing this for a couple years now. Have you seen a change in like people saying, "Oh, I can do that myself" type deal? Do you run into that a lot or no?
Yes and no.
Okay.
The Because I do, but a lot of people are like that. Lately, everybody wants done for you, right? Like
Right.
that's it. People are realizing like I can stay in my lane and make money in my lane, and then just hire the rest.
Right.
And then there's a lot of other people that are like, no, like, oh, I can have a VA doing this for me or whatever. And it's like, and that's fine. It's okay. So that's why, again, like, it's just a strategy of things, right? Like, if you
Right.
have the strategy, you already know what to do. You can pay a VA and they have everything, right? All scripts or whatever, then go for it, right? But the difference between hiring somebody that's been doing it or just doing it yourself is how patient you want to be. They're gonna like, are you willing to pay for them to suck for a while and all those different things, right? Are you willing to spend time to even learn things to then bring it back, right? Because it's all about relationships. And I already have a lot of established relationships, and I'm very good at making relationships very strategically for PR, because this is what I do for a living, right?
Right.
So that doesn't mean that you cannot get them like as easy as just some of my clients are like, even being my clients, I'm getting some opportunities and then they get other opportunities themselves. So
Right.
and that's okay. I actually want them to, right? If you
Sure.
could go for it, send a DM to that person, like do it. And that's why it's about the strategy and how you go about it and what's your priorities at the time, and how you what you this define as success for a campaign, right? What are you looking for? So that's it's a lot of factors.
Yeah, yeah. It's funny you say that. I've heard you say it's about relationships, and I think we forget that. And I coach a lot of businesses as well, and that's something that I'm always talking to them about. You got to get out and build relationships, because any line of work you do or anything, if you don't have relationships, it's very hard to make it, you know. And I think what's happened is we have these and we think these are relationships, you know what I mean? And we forget about just really building quality relationships in the business world. So I'm glad you've said that a couple of times, and hopefully people have heard that now, that enough on my show to go, hey, I think it's about relationships.
I want to add one more thing about that,
Yeah.
and this is when you're going, like when you're going up your campaign, and I'm, let's say like you're working with me and I'm putting you in a lot of podcasts, it's not about just showing up and then show out and leave and that's it, like, oh whatever, like I just gonna sit down here to expect people to call me, right?
Yeah.
Like if this is the first time that they saw you, like they probably won't even care that much unless you really blew their minds, and that's something that is very difficult. And I'm not saying that you're not capable of blowing people's mind or anything. But if you focus on, I'm coming here to build a relationship with the person, so then we can even talk about doing other stuff, maybe do a workshop together or doing things that actually you can get earn the trust of the audience of the person, rather
Hmm.
than like I just went to the podcast, right? When you get deeper into those things and then also you add value to the host, then the host is way more like entitled to be like, oh, okay, I wanna actually promote you, I want to actually make you a
Right.
priority, because as a host, like I have so many people, I can't promote everybody. So
Hmm.
I promote the people that add value to me, I promote the people that I know that there's gonna be something, because I gotta prioritize somehow, right? So
Right.
that's something too that I wanted to point out.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. As a podcast host myself, I know exactly what you're saying. There's some that come on and it's just like they're almost like a robot, you know. It's like okay, what questions do you have? And then it's like, well, I never really want to do anything with them again, you know. So yeah, I definitely get that and appreciate you saying that. So let's jump on another part of, like, if someone is wanting to get in the business, like, is there like training for it? Is there a personality that probably fits best? What's your opinion on that?
So if in the training, I would say master sales, because it's to be able to sell yourself, to just get a call with the right person, right?
Yeah.
To be able to not just like being salesy, right? Like learning sales is learning how to be human about it, but very strategic too. So you're very efficient, because like the most valuable resource that we have is time. So I always say like learn sales in a way that it's not like I wanna learn the most about the product. It's learning about the person that you're trying to sell. And when I say sell, it's like could be just selling a conversation. Because
Right.
sometimes that's the first sell that you should be doing. Like that's how you should think about it. It's like I need to, my first sell is just to get on a call, just to get the chance to even
Hmm.
get on a conversation. And then from there, the more efficient that you can be while communicating, that's what actually is going to open the most doors. And another thing is just lead with value, not just ask like, hey, like let me help you with something, or let me have you in my podcast, like let me do something for free, something that really that you can afford, right? And doesn't shoot yourself in the foot, and it makes sense. And then after that, you lead with value, you show you care, and then you have those sales skills. That's what's going to open a lot of doors. And the other thing is in the personality, is to just be friendly,
Yeah.
and not just too friendly also, but not too dry, right? It's just that balance of being a person that it is pleasant to talk to, like people really
Right.
want to get on a call with you, like, or they want to repeat because they have such a great conversation with you. That's the impressions that you want to create. It's like someone that's valuable, that is great to spend time with, and somebody that can be efficient with time and communication. That would be my three things
Very
to
cool.
share with that.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. That's great advice. Great advice for anybody that's potentially thinking about that. And I would just touch on one thing is, like, even if you're, for anything that you do right now, anything, you got to be able to communicate and sell yourself, right? If you cannot do that, you're probably going to struggle in life. I mean, I'm just being honest with people. Like,
It
Like
is.
that is what I would teach anybody if they were sitting here in front of me. Like everything is sales. You're selling yourself. You're selling who you are every day, even in you carrying a conversation on with your wife or whoever. I mean, it's
Yeah,
that's part of
in
life.
life, like for me, I just want to touch on that. I didn't want to interrupt you, but it's just
Yeah,
something that I become such a, so much better at communicating, even with my friends, with my family, and everything since I just became a business person because I was forced to level up as a
yeah,
person, because to be able to be a business owner, or if you want to be a successful business owner, you have to do the things that successful business owners do, right? And you have to be as efficient as possible, right? So I started taking care of my body more. Like I feel better now than I was in the Air Force. I was stronger there because I was just more gym and stuff, but now I'm leaner. Like I'm
yeah.
like I eat better. I do yoga, and I really like do physical therapy and all this stuff, like a lot more, because I know that the more that I can take care of myself, the better that I can be. And another thing, that not just the sales part, but also creating content, like becoming
Oh
a,
man, yeah,
a podcast host, and also just doing talking head videos and stuff for Instagram, and for every platform really. That has allowed me to become such a better speaker. Like if you can go to see my first episode, my first couple episodes, I don't sound like this. I'm saying like all the time, and just get stuck on a lot of things. I don't know when to stop. The
right.
breathing, everything is all the things that I've been practicing by just doing content, getting to sales, just a lot of practice on this, and being very mindful that there's always room for improvement. So even now that I feel good, I still feel like I can do a lot better. So that's what I keep pushing
Yeah.
for.
Yeah, I mean, you touched on content, and Gary Vee's always pushing. I mean, he's been pushing content forever. And what I run into with some of the people that I coach is, I try to get a video out of them, and it's like they think it needs to be like in a studio with, like right lighting needs to be right. And what I try to explain to them is content really in today's world, they want real content, right? Like, who is this person? And with these I mean, with our phones, it's unbelievable what they have on the cameras. You know what I mean? Like there's no reason people shouldn't be putting content out. Because even if look at me, I'm behind a camera, and I'm, a guy that's some country boy. So, but I would urge anybody just to, man, start throwing content out. If you really want to grow, like you just talked about, Foo, about learning how to speak and like being quicker at responses, man, you get behind a camera and you do a live podcast, you learn real quick.
Mm-hmm. I
So
mean, there's no doubt. There's no doubt. Like for me, like one of the, there's certain things that you can track back, and you can be like, damn, like I did this and really got me a lot of growth.
yeah.
Starting the podcast was something that really forced me, because started listening to myself and cringing so hard. I was like, I never want to sound like this again. I need to get better. It is I'm ashamed of this almost, but I do it in a good way, right? It's like, look, give you coach. I cut myself some slack. I was like, look, I'm starting out. I'll get better. And I just watching my videos. I'm like, oh, let's not do that. Let's do this, and just learning from others. And then now, like the new thing, because I started doing podcasts, it's almost a year now.
Uh-huh.
But then doing talking head videos and stuff has been way more recent. Like I did before, but it was kind of on and off. And but now I'm like full on, like all in on content. And I messed up all the time. I still have so much room for improvement, but just by going through the motions, that's how I really have learned, and that's something that I recommend it to everybody. I even tell to my sister sometimes, and I tell her, like, you know what, you wanna get better at communicating, just start filming yourself. You'll
Oh
see
yeah.
that when you start
Oh
cringing,
yeah.
you'll get better
Oh
quick.
man. I mean, I still like look at some of the even stuff I do now and go, "Oh my gosh, what was I even saying right there?" Like it's pretty
Same.
bad, but it's real, and I mean, I think people appreciate that too. It's like not canned and it's real. Um, so what's one thing in your business uh, right now, or the type of business you're in that you didn't expect? Like when you got in, you're like, oh wow, I didn't know I was going to be doing this, or is there anything like that?
So for me, I think it was, I didn't expect to like the content side of things. I didn't like it in the beginning. I kind of did, but like I it was something where like I've become a person that I just didn't know because I just didn't know, right? Like you don't know what you didn't know.
Right.
So for me, okay, so one thing was I thought this is the biggest thing I think is I thought that I was a great like, oh, I'm like friendly communicator, so I'm gonna be great at sales. Like just communicating with people. I have something of value, just communicating with them, I'll be fine. So that's what I
Yeah.
was thinking. So that was, I think that is the biggest thing for me. Sales is a lot harder than I expected, and not because you're a social person means that you're gonna be good at sales, and vice versa. Like I know a lot of
Yeah.
introverts that are great at sales. So it's that is like the biggest thing. I think it's sales was the thing that I kind of like. I thought it was gonna be good. Then I thought that I hated it, and then I was just like, no, I don't hate it. I just have to be better, right? I just have to be better, and it's just that it's just embracing the suck, and that's something that I kind of learned from the military, right? That's like a common phrase from the military: embrace the suck. And I think that's one of the biggest things that I learned from the military. Really, is like being in Syria and all that bear base, all that stuff, right? Like when now going to business, I was like, oh, this is just a different type of war, almost, right? Like it's a different type
Uh,
of battle, and that's embracing the suck was a big thing. So yeah, sales is the thing that really has been my biggest journey, and that's why I push it so much, right? That's why I
yeah.
say it because growing in this journey has been a roller coaster with sales. So
Yeah. Yeah. And I think sales is like that regardless, right? I mean, there's like, because you do sales, I do sales, and there's days where you just want to go bury your head under a pillow. It's like one of those days where you can't sell anything, and you're just like, oh my goodness, that's a rough day. But then the next day, you might have a better day. So it's just consistency, which a lot of people don't have. Like, because, and I don't want to take over the show, but a lot of people in the world today, they want things so instant, right? That they don't have any consistency of what they do. And it takes time to figure out who you are, what your technique is, and how you sell yourself. People think they can walk in a room and sell people when they don't even know how to even carry themselves, right? And uh,
that was me.
yeah, well, and you maybe not because you're probably dealing with people that probably are a little more advanced, but are you having to have that kind of conversation with people that you work with?
What do you mean?
Like, hey, you really need to work on your approaches, or your
Oh,
are
I
you
I I give feedback to all my clients, like even my clients making 8 figures.
okay?
Like there's always room for improvement. And sometimes like I have conversations that I'm like, look, you're allowed to be completely transparent with me, tell me everything, like just be raw, but you gotta allow me to be that way too,
Hmm.
because there's a lot of things that I know that you don't know. Doesn't matter if you make over 20 million a year and I don't, right? But I
Right.
know things that you don't, and that's something that I always establish, because it's not even if they're great at sales, sometimes there's just certain things that where you were saying like, oh, you say you know too much, or you say certain things that
Right.
it could be better, and that doesn't mean they go to a stage and make over 30 to 50K on one stage. So obviously they're doing something good, but there's always room for improvement. So I definitely, even with my biggest clients, I get to that level, and then I have some other smaller clients because like something like a press release, it's something that I can get somebody kind of starting out, and go, can you separate, like $1,000 or something to be able to start, right? Like that's not like a big commitment, but then it can turn into something big, like gives you that instant credibility. So for those, then I can dive a little deeper. Maybe like they're not as great, and then I tell them like, hey, like they look away for make it more irresistible, and segue these things. And obviously, I talk from just what I have from experience, but I also listen a lot because there
Yeah.
is so much that I don't know. That's why I punch on sales so much, because it's just like a monster with many heads, and I'm trying to tame one head, and then there's a lot of other heads. So that's why, like, I always listen because I always have something to learn from people too.
Yeah. Well, I mean that's great because I think a lot of people miss that in today's world too. Like you have two ears and one mouth. My mom always told me that. But anyway, is there? I always ask everyone that comes on: is there a favorite productivity hack that you use that you make share with people? Like, hey, you should use this app, or you anything that you have?
I always recommend. I do yoga, and I know that's not for everybody, but sometimes people don't even give them chance again, right? To try.
Mm-hmm.
So I recommend always Boho Beautiful, Boho Beautiful. And they have a 14-day challenge that they did back in 2020, like in December, to start the year, to start 2021. The reason that I recommend this so much is because I have found to be the most efficient way to do work, to work out, stretch, and work on your breathing and meditation out in one.
Yeah.
Because she's like the it's just called Juliana. She's my yogi master. She doesn't we don't know each other. I don't know her, but I feel like I know her, right? Like she's my
Yeah.
yogi master because the idea of this, the thing about this 14-day challenge, first of all, it's 14 days, so then like you have 14 days straight. You don't have to I don't have to think about it. It's like I know what to do. Second, it's not voice over, she's actually talking, so you
Mm,
feel like you have a personal yogi master, a personal
right.
trainer, right? Like you have it there, so it feels so real to me. And then she is so efficient because it's balanced, right? It's for 14 days for you to do, and then it's great to then go back after 14 days that you don't even remember like all the exercises and stuff. You go back, and then I just started doing that loop of like just going back and going back. Now I'm on a point, I mean, it's been 2 years now, right? Or 3 years almost, right? Because it's 22 December 2020. Well, 2 years and some change. So and there now I use it more as a medicine cabinet type stuff, right? So now instead of just, oh, let me just do 1, 2, 3, I already kind of know what I like the best, what I not like. I don't even look at her that much because I already kind of have it memorized. So
Yeah.
that's something that has been a very productivity hack for my health. And I recommend it a lot because it was life changing for me. At the time, when I started it, I think I have my one client that I've gained, like just that one client that I gained, and then from there, like I started taking off, and then I got my first 5-figure deal, and then I got the second one and everything, and it was because of I committed to doing yoga every day, and it's like 15 to 30 minutes. That's it. Like there's no more than that.
Yeah.
And that commitment and that discipline to do it every day and make you feel like, oh, I'm doing something good for my body, for myself, that translated into also like business discipline, and really helped me a lot. So that's why I always, give them the shout out and everything, because it not just because I feel grateful for them, but because I really want to help people that to
Yeah.
hopefully they take the chance.
Yeah. I mean, wellness is a huge thing because then it programs your mind, where you're stronger at anything you do at that point. So thank you for sharing that. Any books that you recommend that you are reading now, or have you've read that you might recommend to the audience?
um 100 Million Offers by Alex Hormozy, and how to how to win how's that? How to win friends and influence people, right? How to win friends and influence people. That's another one that I consume audiobooks more than anything,
Yeah.
than reading, and videos. I just more like that person. It's just I'm dyslexic, so like reading it's a little bit challenging. So that's why I go through like the audio side,
Yeah.
and so yeah.
Most everybody does audio now. So,
Mhm.
so
And I try very intentional about it. So like there's some things that I listen passive, but there's sometimes that I just like I'm not doing anything and I'm just listening, and I'm just like, internalizing it, right? And it feels like I'm kind of meditating in a way, right? So that's like another thing, to just, I just getting this information and just clear my mind from everything else and just kind of relax there. And so that's kind of how I do it.
yeah, yeah, cool, man, cool. So, is there one question you wish I would have asked you today?
Interesting. Um, I think is I like talking about like what's the vision part of things. I think that's a cool question, because I like starting. I start most of the conversations that I have with someone that I just meeting for the first time, sales, partnerships, whatever the case may be. I do it in just personal too.
Right.
I like asking like, what are you focusing on right now, and what's that next step? Like, what's that next goal? So I think we did talk a lot about like the focus right now and my story. So the vision part, I think it could have been like, what's next, right? Like, for example, I would have said like,
Yeah.
I'm taking my podcast now to in person. I have my first in person interview next week. It's gonna be here in a winery. Then it's also like,
Nice.
where I'm taking my content and stuff like that.
Yeah. So, I mean, that the reason why I asked that question is because typically I don't get people do, oh no, but I love when people do, because now you just ask your own question and you can answer it. So, and which you kind of already
I did,
did, you know what I
huh?
mean? So, but so cool. So you're going live with your podcast.
In person, yeah.
Are you in person? Are you gonna? That's what you're gonna do from now on. Is that
No,
the
no, no,
plan?
no, 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 no.
Oh,
I'm
okay.
not gonna
Okay.
limit myself like that. But it's a level up, right?
Yeah.
In content, in obviously, ideally, I start, I get to a point that I'm just like, there's no need to do it virtually, but I don't want to limit it like that, because I don't want to be like, damn, I could have had this great conversation if I would have been open to do it online, right? So
Right.
I don't want to limit myself like that, but definitely eventually, I want to get to a point that it's like, it's almost TV, right? Like, I have my show, people come to it, like I already know how to get attention and all this stuff, right? I'm just have to build the community, build my own movement, right? Like, be my own client and build all these things, that which is a big focus of me right now. And that's kind of why I'm here, right? Just
Yeah,
just
yeah,
wanted
yeah,
to.
man. Yeah, I'm glad you're here. And I do have your link tree link in the description. So anyone that's looking to contact James or Foo, whatever you want to call him, all his links are there. The podcast. What's the name of the podcast again?
So the actual name of the podcast is Strategic Advisor Board. So that's the name of the podcast. But my segment is called Moments with Phil. So
Okay.
if you go to just my YouTube channel directly, I playlisted my only mind in there. So then it's just mine there. If you go to the Strategic Advisor Board YouTube, then you can go and then find my playlist, and then that's where. But then you can also find the other playlists if you want to check out the other ones, right?
Cool, cool. So, and I assume you're still taking on clients for your business, your PR side. Are you okay? Because I
Definitely.
know some people like, no, I got too many clients. So I always ask. I don't want to be like, hey, call this guy. Like so.
Yeah.
Cool.
Like,
ImperiumAuthority.com. I've got it up on the screen, so everyone should check it out and give give Fu a look, man. Definitely a guy that I think would help. Um, you get some exposure, because I think what you're doing, man, is like everyone is, and I own a digital marketing agency, so my world is like, hey, let's run ads, let's do this, is it? But people forget about the PR side of things. I know I do. I don't ever think about that, but I probably have clients that I probably should send your way, because that's probably what they need more than they need me running a bunch of ads. So it's
yeah. So one thing about that I want to say, and I've seen this, I mean, work so on like so many times, is organic is a great way to test if it's resonating or not. Now you want to really boost it out, then you put paid ads. So I made a piece of content that I compare. So paid ads, it's like having like a nitrous bottle, right? Like you get it, you put it in your car now, like just boost, and then when you run out, you back to a normal car. But
right.
if you build a strong brand with content and publicity strategies, that is like building a turbo engine. So that's something that is just, it's always fast, and it's not like you lose it, right? But then if imagine if you have a turbo engine, and then you can add that nitrous bottle, right? So
Right.
that, you see, that's the great way. So I think that's a great way to give people perspective. It's like, damn, like I'd rather
Yeah.
have a turbo and then have a net, because you pay, that's great. Like, I'm not saying that's bad, but it's just so much better to have that solid foundation and then throw in the pay dots, and then you really take off.
Yeah, yeah. Wow, that's great. I'm gonna actually use that, man, because I get a lot of people that are in startup phases and they're not ready for paid ads yet, because they're just like their branding's
You
not
need proof of
good.
concept.
Yeah, yeah. So it's kind of like a hold on, I'm not gonna take your money right now. So anyway, but food, man, it's been great. I love what you're doing. I love your spirit, man. Just like It
Thank
just
you.
radiates, and I see why when I was looking at your website, everybody is saying how great a guy you are, because I can just feel it, man. So what's coming up this year? I mean, what are you planning? Like, what's your goal for your business? Is it just like take it to
My
the moon or what?
Oh yeah, for sure. Like I don't like limiting myself. I don't limit my clients either, right? So the idea of this is to build an infinitely scalable system, and that is what I'm focusing on, is building a client acquisition machine
Hmm.
with an HR machine. So we always keeping up that we can pitch them all the time. In that, with that HR machine, that a client acquisition machine, and then the so HR, oh, and then the pitching machine, right? So like there's the pitching, there's the hiring part, right? Because they're separate things. So
Sure.
those three machines is like the main thing that I'm focusing on right now. So then that way it's like I can never tell you, oh, I can take clients, right? So that
Right.
way it's like, oh, we have this publicist in charge of 3 to 5 clients, depending how deep they have to go into the client pitching. But then it's like, oh, I already have another publicist that is already interview ready there. I hired a couple clients. Boom, here's your 3 clients. Here are the SOPs. Here's everything, right? So that infinitely scalable system, that's the big goal. And then for me to be able to disconnect more and more from my company, so I can then be it like traveling more, being in masterminds, conventions, just being in the top places, so I can open more doors, right? Going to Miami, going to LA,
Sure.
going to New York, going to Austin, right? All those the biggest hubs. So then
Yeah.
I can open more doors for my clients. So that's the
Yeah.
goal.
Awesome, man. Well, thanks for sharing. Again, everyone, Foo's info's in the description, so you can find all his links there. And I just want to thank you for coming on. And it was kind of interesting because I had a cancellation, and you jumped right on because I'm booking out in like April. So I was like surprised, like, oh, because I didn't really push to get anybody. I'm just like, well, I'll just do something myself. So I'm so glad you came on, man. It's really nice to connect with you.
Yeah, I didn't look, to be honest. I was kind of like, oh, I don't know if I'm gonna send one of my clients first or something. And then look at your calendar, and it was all booked out until April, and I was like, damn. And then I just literally went back, and because it automatically took me to April, so then I
Yeah.
hit back, and I saw one for today, the only one, other than
Yep.
April, it was like today. And I was like, I don't know if this is just a mistake or something. I'm just gonna book it, and then I'm gonna email him. So I literally booked it, and then like email you. It's like, hey, look, I know it was last minute, but like, here's my things. Here's why I think I should be would be good for you.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then like your assistant got back to me, and I was like, perfect, okay, we're doing it, perfect, I'm ready,
Yeah,
let's do
yeah,
it.
I
So
was excited, man. I was happy. I'm like, oh, cool. So anyway, but dude, great meeting you, man. Anytime, I'd love to have you back on, or any of your clients. I'd love to have any of them on. So, but yeah, I'll catch you soon, man. And thanks again for coming on.
yeah, no, thanks for having me. And you can expect some clients coming my way, because I'm gonna tell them, hey, I went there and it was great. So I'm gonna tell them
Good.
that.
Thank you for that. All right,
Perfect.
buddy. Have a good evening.
You too.
All right, that was Foo. Um, a PR, I call him PR genius, strategist, whatever you want to call him. But PR is a PR public relations is a big deal, and I know just from talking to him now that I've been kind of not even thinking about that for people that I'm talking to that probably should be in that realm instead of the digital marketing realm, or a combination of both. But so I've definitely learned a lot. Again, his all his info's in the video description, so reach out if you're interested in his services. And that's it for me tonight. I just want to say thank you for tuning in. Please subscribe, share this video, and help us grow. If you know someone that you'd love to see on here, let me know and I'll reach out to them. Um, and that's it. Have a great one. I'll talk to you soon. Thanks for tuning in to the Biz Pulse.